You want to get your life together this summer, and here's exactly how you're going to do it. I don't know about y'all, but it is that time of year where I personally feel like I need to reassess. We have so much momentum at the beginning of the year with New Year's resolutions and just that fresh energy, and we can only, for the most part, for most people, continue with that forward momentum and just sheer motivation for so long. Life gets in the way, we get overwhelmed. It's easy to go back to just coping mechanisms to make you feel, less stressed. Like, I feel like for myself, I've been scrolling on TikTok way more. And then you realize, oh my God, the year is halfway over. So today I'm going to bring you through step by step how we are going to kind of create a mid-year reset, should we say, and really focus on setting those new routines, regaining some of that motivation, and making the rest of the year the way that you want it. You do not have to be a victim to just your subconscious habits, and you don't have to feel like life is happening to you. You are in the driver's seat and you have control. Welcome back to the Stella podcast, y'all. The podcast where we learn how to be our best selves. I realized today, actually, that in a few months I will be able to present myself more of a health coach to you guys, which is so exciting because I will officially be certified. More information down below if you are interested in the health coach certification program I'm currently doing. Also, before we get into it, I wanted to give a shout out to HelloFresh. I just ate one of them for lunch. HelloFresh is a meal kit service that provides easy to follow recipes with all the ingredients that you need. It's such a great way to get back into cooking, or if you enjoy cooking, but you're pressed for time, you don't have the time to do the grocery shopping, the planning, the prep work, everything that goes into it. And it's really great because you can customize your meal plan for each week. If you use my code and the link down below, you get up to 10 free meals as well as free shipping on your first box. So I would definitely recommend that you check them out. So getting back into our summer reset, I think the first thing that is so important to do, and I was actually thinking about this for myself yesterday, is to redefine your why, or refocus on it, or just discover it to begin with. I'm sure at the beginning of this year, you had a vision of what you wanted your life to look like. Whether it's you wanted to get more in shape, you wanted to switch career paths, you wanted to be more social, you wanted to just glow up, you wanted to go back to school, or maybe finish a degree, or whatever the case may be, you had some kind of vision, even if you didn't act on it at all this whole year. I know deep down, you have a vision, you have something that you want to do or accomplish, or what you want your life to feel and look like. So I would recommend sitting down with a journal or like your notes app, or just taking a walk without any music or headphones and just thinking about this. Let your mind wander and kind of ask yourself, like, what is it that ignites me? What do I feel excited about? And what have I been putting off because maybe I'm scared, or I just feel like I don't have the time, or other things always get in the way. I think it's really important to acknowledge the feelings that you want. A really good question that I will ask in my coaching sessions is, what does the ideal version of yourself feel like? What is a day in the life like for your ideal self? What is their morning routine like? What is their evening routine like? What are they just doing even during the day? Again, most importantly, what is the feeling? Getting really specific on this vision that you have for yourself is the first step in making it a reality, TBH, because things can feel very overwhelming. That's why so many people never do what they want to do in life, because just getting started feels so impossible and just like too much. And it's like new territory, and it's just like, it's scary for our brains. Like, change is already scary, even if it's a positive change. It feels like a threat to our brains, our nervous systems. But especially if it's something that you feel a lot of pressure about, or there's just a lot of emotion behind it because it matters a lot to you, that adds another huge layer of this pressure and stress and just like fear to the whole process. So it's like, take a deep breath, first of all. Like, we don't have to accomplish everything overnight. We don't have to change overnight. It's just taking these small steps and kind of steps that build upon each other to get into that rhythm of your new flow and your new life. It's also really important to let go of shame. Like, oh, I haven't accomplished this yet, it must not be for me, or I've been trying to do this for so long and I haven't, like maybe it'll never happen. I talked a little bit about that in my last episode, like burnout, and then also the feeling of like wasting your life. Like, just like almost that guilt or shame. Like, I just feel like I wasted so much time not doing what I was supposed to be doing or what I should have been doing. And I actually saw a Shira 7 clip on my For You page the other day that I just needed to hear that so bad. She was basically saying, you like don't look back at the past and like wish you had done things differently or like, don't focus on the past so much. Instead, be excited that you are going to enter this new chapter. And she literally used the analogy of a book. Like, you don't constantly go back to past chapters. Like, once you're done with the chapter, you close it and you open the new chapter. And she really emphasized getting excited about this new chapter. And I just really needed to hear that because if y'all watched or listened to my last episode, that's something that I've been going through a lot recently, entering more of my later 20s and just reflecting on past years and like just that shoulda, woulda, coulda kind of mindset. Like, I mean, some reflection, of course, I think is good and healthy and just natural, but I was starting to get a little bit down on myself and just thinking, like, why did I waste so much time? And I was just really focused on all the negatives. Classic. Um, and just hearing her say that, like, get excited for this new chapter, it's like, wait, like, true. And it's like, I can use all this wisdom that I've gained and experiences and what I know I don't want or don't like and what I do want and what I do like and take that all moving forward. And I was literally imagining like what is that thing called? Like the olden days timer. I always think of Cyber Chase. Wasn't there a Cyber Chase where they were like in a pyramid and there was all this sand? I remember like the sounds of that episode so clearly. That's like when you're going to a new chapter. And the transition weird phase is like when it gets really skinny in the middle and then it opens up to all of this new opportunity and possibility because you learned from the past and you're moving forward. So the next step in doing all of this is to do a little audit of your life. And again, this is a great opportunity to journal or use your notes app or even just go on a walk or lay down and just kind of let your mind wander on the subject. So if you kind of journal prompt ideas or just like thought-provoking questions, what habits are holding me back? Well, first I would definitely start with the ideal vision because you want to like paint the picture for yourself and get really clear and specific on what you want. You want to leave a toxic relationship, you want to get more fit, you want to lose weight, you want to just feel more energized, you want to get a better night, you want to get good regular sleep, you want a new career, you want a new friendship circle, like whatever it is. Get really clear on that. And then we're going to go into these questions. So, what habits are holding me back? For me, scrolling on my phone, not prioritizing play. And then I would say also for me, not being organized like with content. Like I will start out with a really good plan and then sometimes like life gets in the way and I will let the plan slip and then by the end of the month it's like what even was the plan, So getting specific on kind of like your weaknesses or areas where like, okay, I tend to like do that. Another question is what energizes me versus what drains me. And this is really important as well because I truly think anything that drains you is not good for you long term. And it's like there's a million and one reasons, why you can convince yourself to do something. Well, it's like I think the most common case is like a job because it's like you need the money, but it really is like killing your soul and spirit. And don't get me wrong, like sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You got to stick it out just because you have bills. But it's like, okay, I know this job is draining me, so this is not something I want long term. So I'm going to start like looking elsewhere. Like, it doesn't mean you need to quit right now unless like you can and like, period. But another thing is like relationships, whether that's like a partner or friendships. Someone who's constantly draining you, that's not someone you want in your life long term. And then on the flip side, again, what energizes you? Like, when do you feel your most yourself? When do you feel excited? When do you feel passionate? When do you feel like you can most easily get into that flow state? And again, you can apply this to anything from like type of exercise to, again, career or people, like whatever. And then, of course, there's so many other journal prompts and like things you could be thinking of or writing down. The last one is, how do I want to feel by September? If you want to take it a step further, you could say, how do I want to feel a year from now? And hopefully that reconnects you also to the initial kind of exercise or like thought process of what is my ideal self? How does my ideal self feel? Hopefully there is a link between that. And then, especially in asking yourself what excites you, what makes you feel most aligned to the ideal self, you start coming up with some tangible things or like action steps that you can do in between now and September or now and a year from now to start making that ideal version of yourself a reality. It's so true that we have, like, as humans, we have such a negativity bias. And I'm sure you know what that means. If not, it's basically where our brain remembers bad stuff a lot more than good, and our brain, like, focuses on bad stuff a lot more than good. And I think for some people more than others, some people are outwardly more negative people, you know, but even just to yourself, like, just remembering, like, bad memories. But I was thinking about this, just side note, then what's the deal with, like, our brains also being nostalgic? Because I swear, I will get nostalgic over, like, the worst eras. But it's like, I know it was, like, a bad time, but then my brain sometimes will, like, romanticize it. Is that, like, a coping mechanism? Or, like, because I know, I understand, like, the negativity bias, but, like, what's the nostalgia bias? Like, I mean, yeah, like, everyone's like, 2016, it's like, it's not like it was that good, you know? But it's like we romanticize it and we get like nostalgic over. So I don't like, is there a link between those? But anyway, that's why it is so important, like, because our brains have a negativity bias, it is so important that we continually remind ourselves to focus on the positive, to remind ourselves of our ideal self, our vision, our why, to get really specific and clear on that vision and the feelings that it brings up for us, getting clear on when we feel like that now, what, again, action steps make us feel like that. And I think, especially for myself, coming out of the vegan era, and that also had some overlap with like this spiritual era. And basically, toxic positivity was such a big like thing at that time. And I remember really not wanting to do that, like not wanting to be toxic positive or like not to I didn't want to promote that. You know, when making videos about manifestation was such a big thing, like when it first was, like in 2016, and people would get so much hate because they'd be like, you're so like privileged, like why are you telling me I can manifest when like obviously this was like all given to you? And I just know I did not want to be like that. So I would like super duper shy away from like any form of toxic positivity. So now I've kind of had to retrain myself. Like, okay, there's a difference between like leaning into the positive, looking on the bright side, like being optimistic, where it doesn't have to be like toxic positivity or like unrealistic or like you're kind of burying any negativity or like bad emotion you feel, you know? I think it just comes like, I think the difference is emotional intelligence. You can acknowledge your bad or like uncomfortable feelings and honor them and like feel them and let them go without like pretending that they're not there or like pretending that there's this state of being you could achieve where you never feel anything bad. Because remember, that's not the goal in life. Like, that's not the goal of healing. That's not the goal. I'm doing a lot of air quotes if you're listening. That's not the goal of healing, or like your ideal self is still gonna have bad days. The goal is like in any sort of self help or wellness or therapy or whatever, coaching, is to get better at handling those off days or a crisis or when you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed out, you know, and just being more resilient, which is like your ability to bounce back. We can't get to a place where we never feel bad ever, and we're not robots. So that's really important to keep in mind as well, because if you are walking around with this unrealistic expectation, like, oh, if I was my ideal self, I wouldn't be feeling like this right now, I wouldn't be stressed, I wouldn't be like feeling like imposter syndrome or like a failure or like I should be further than I am. Oh, I must never be my ideal self then. No. Your ideal self would feel that and like catch yourself and be like, do whatever grounding technique you needed, or like take a pause, take a breath, take a nap. You know, we're human. It's normal. It's learning how to deal with it that is the goal, and getting better at knowing how to deal with it. Emotional intelligence. So to start out, I would create one goal that you can work on for the next month. And goal as in more so of a habit that you can practice and really start to implement as part of your routine that will then serve as like the foundation for you to continue to build upon this version of your ideal self. So, to get really clear on this, I think you just have to think about all the different things, all the different aspects of your life, and kind of like that initial question, what habits are holding you back? There are different types of goals, though. There's like, what do I not want? What do I want more of? It could be something like, I need to stop scrolling, or it could be, I need to go to sleep earlier. Like one thing, it's like, I'm going to sleep earlier. One thing is like, I want to do this less. So just choosing one thing that feels, I think for me, and like when I've been talking with clients, it's like something that is going to affect a lot of other things. So for a lot of people, it has been sleep. It's like, okay, I've been feeling overwhelmed with work. I need to like get better with exercising. I need to like eat better, this and that. But really what's affecting all of that and my ability to even start doing those things is getting a good night of sleep, going to bed earlier. And it could be different for you, of course. That's just an example. But once you kind of come up with this thing that's kind of like, oh, this is going to make the biggest change out of all these like things that I'm kind of thinking about or working on, then you're going to brainstorm ways that you've been able to do that in the past. Even if it's like one time, it's like, okay, well, what worked? It could be things like setting timers, putting the bedtime reminder on your phone, app limits. It could be rewarding yourself or like reading instead of scrolling, having less coffee, cutting out caffeine by a certain time of day. Something that is basically an action step. And then you're going to think about how many times you could realistically do that per week. And then also a way that you're going to keep track. So that could be, again, in a journal, on your phone. You could tell a friend about it. You could like hire a health coach. And then you are going to go ahead and get started on that. So it could be like, if sleep is your thing, for example, it could be, I want to go to bed at 9:30, 5 days out of the week. And you're just going to keep track. You're going to hold yourself accountable. You're going to do your action steps of whatever, like we just talked about. And you're going to also keep track or like make a note of how you are feeling while you're doing this. So while it's really important to choose something that is like foundational and like that will make the biggest difference, it's also important to do something that feels realistic. Again, when you're like, oh, I want to like upgrade my life or like change or like be better, glow up, it can kind of feel overwhelming because it's like, oh, I'm like putting all these expectations on myself to do this and like it's a big change. So it should be something that will make a difference, but something, again, that is achievable and that you will actually be able to do because you want that forward momentum. You want that upward spiral of, oh, like, this is something I can do. And it's like, sometimes you gotta trick your brain a little bit, like, oh, we're on a winning streak. But really, it's like, yeah, I set this up so that we would. Like, I'm not choosing something that's super hard to start off because we want to get on that upward spiral. We want to start feeling good about ourselves. We want to feel like, yes, I can say I'm going to do something and come through for myself and do it. So after the first month of this, you're going to see kind of where you're at and then reassess if needed. That could be, oh, this went great. I'm ready to implement like another goal or another habit. Or, oh, like this was kind of hard. I'm going to like try again. Or maybe I'm going to do like a different, like if you're going to bed earlier, getting more sleep, it's like, oh, I'm actually going to try like this time instead, or I'm going to do it this many days a week instead, and just kind of change, like be adaptable and keeping the big picture in mind. So other things that really help me, if I'm planning a glow up, but this is like classic things you guys already know, going through like my following, unfollowing people, just like a digital detox, and then also like a physical detox. I really need to go through some stuff, like clothes and just products. Like I need to throw away a bunch of expired products, vacuum under your bed type vibes, go through your fridge, your pantry, finally just do the tasks you've been putting off. It's like end of spring cleaning before like summer's about to start cleaning, midway year point cleaning. And it's about to be Mercury retrograde as well, which is such a great time to be planning, to be decluttering, out with the old, in with the new, getting ready for this new season, this new era, this new chapter of our lives. So if this sounds like something you are interested in, I would definitely love to hear what it is you will be working on or kind of trying to build a new habit with. What are the things that excite you and inspire you and give you that sense of passion and flow in the moment feeling? What are some potential barriers that come up and how do you deal with them? So on some other topics, y'all, there was a lot of things that happened this week. So I'm just gonna kind of like go through a few of the trending topics. The first, and this was like last week. So the first thing is the Wizard Liz. If y'all don't know her, honestly, I never really watched her videos. I would sometimes see clips on TikTok. Her advice wasn't like Shira's, but it was kind of like, I don't know. I honestly, I kind of got like a mean girl vibe from her videos. I didn't really like I know some people like that tough love type of energy. I'm just like no hate and like just personally. I'm like, is she mad at me? Like, I don't know. It wasn't like sprinkle, but I think some of that was kind of dabbled in there just as far as having high standards when it comes to dating and things like that. And I think she talked about manifestation maybe a little bit. Again, I didn't like really watch her videos heavy, so I don't know, but I kind of knew like kind of her vibe. So apparently, so I remember actually, was this last year or even like a few months ago? It must have been last year. But she finally popped up with a man, and people were like, oh my God, like if she's dating him, like he must be so good because she has really high standards. Yeah, she would talk a lot about having high standards. I remember this one TikTok I saw, like a clip from her video where she said this guy was going to pick her up from a date and he didn't get out of the car to open the door for her and she stood there waiting and he didn't, so she just went back inside. Mode. And so everyone's like, oh my God, this new guy must be like so great. So I think she gets engaged. She is pregnant. And it comes out that he cheated on her via Snapchat, which cheaters love Snapchat, y'all. Like, oh my God, that's so crazy. So that's horrible. I hope she's doing okay. I think she made a post about it maybe, but basically she left the relationship, so thank God. Um, yeah, that really sucks that she is going through that, especially being pregnant. Like, that's already so devastating. But then, especially, like, to be pregnant on top of that. Hopefully, she doesn't put his name on the birth certificate. Is she even in the US? I don't know. I don't know how it works in other countries, but a tip I've heard is to not put the father's name on the birth certificate because you can do so much more and, like, travel with your kid and, like, especially if the guy is not like if the guy is doing something like that, like cheating on you, you don't want him to get in the way later on because so many of these guys will do that and like just make it difficult for you, but then they actually don't want to step up and be a father and contribute to the family even if you guys aren't together. You know what I mean? So don't put his name on the birth certificate. Like, I do not say this in a blaming her type of way or anything. And again, I don't even really know how much she talked about dating specifically, or if she did kind of promote this idea of like finding your ideal guy. I'm not really sure. But I do know there are other creators who give kind of like feminine dating advice. And a common theme is like this idea, like selling this idea of your dream man, the ideal guy. And it's like it'll be kind of sprinkle advice in having high standards, but like Shira does not say there's your perfect Prince Charming out there. Like, he'll just have high standards and he'll appear. That is not going to happen for a majority of women because of our society and patriarchy and how men are taught to think and act and all of that. Then it's like people get really surprised when something like this happens. And it's like, a man could be capable of anything. And I don't say that in like a bitter way or like jaded, but you just kind of have to be realistic given our just like our society, like patriarchy and like, oh, masculine, the idea of masculinity. And like, I don't think inherently men are cheaters or narcissistic or whatever. I just really think it is the result of the twisted world that we grow up in, and like all this negative, all this basically, for lack of a better term, toxic masculinity. And yeah, because it's like, why is every man like that? So yeah, just be careful of who you get advice from. And again, I don't know if she did that specifically, but it was kind of just interesting to see so many people's reaction, like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And it's like, a lot of people were just showing her support, which good, she needs that at this time. But yeah, like, yeah, it's all man, like, and not in like a, again, boys will be boys way, but it's like, society. I hope that makes sense. You know, I don't know. That's why I really like Shira's content, because her message first and foremost is that you need to put yourself first, and to not put so much happiness, like, don't make your happiness dependent on a man. And she said, like, I literally just saw a video. She was like, I believe in love because I love my children. The only love I believe in is unconditional love. Not with a man. That's like conditional love, and it's not really like real. I saw this other girl's video, and she was talking about how there's like this pipeline from like lover girl to sprinkle sprinkle, and then sprinkle sprinkle to like decentering men completely. And I just really feel that, like, not that I will never date again necessarily, but where I'm at right now is just like, I don't even want to like be around you, because it does just take so much energy, and it's like just constantly a disappointment. Like, when you think a date is going well or something, and then a man just says something that's like, he's like free Tory, or he says something randomly like so homophobic, and it's just like, damn, like, you're just a man. It's just what you do. There's no need. Like, this, just like, there's no need. I really don't care. Another thing that happened last week was Catherine Pais went on the Call Her Daddy podcast and spilled literally so much tea about the Ace family, her relationship with Austin, just like behind the scenes of that whole era. And that's another classic, like, it was super interesting. I was like locked in watching that. Like, I was like, oh my God. Because it was just so crazy to be on YouTube during that time. And it's like, it's just crazy to then get the real tea. I'm just really happy that she spoke her truth and was finally able to speak her truth. I think a lot of women could probably relate to her when she was just talking about feeling so stupid and like so alone, and like she just had to keep so much stuff to herself. And it's just kind of that common theme of, you know, a man being super controlling and manipulative and gaslighting you, and you feel like you're going crazy, and it's like embarrassing, so you don't want to tell anyone, but it just makes you feel worse and worse. So I'm happy she got out of that situation and that she feels free, and, especially enough to tell her side of things and to just finally let all of that off of her chest. But yeah, like, why are these guys literally psychotic? Like, so many of them. I would recommend watching it if you are interested at all, because it was really good. Like, they talk about a lot of stuff. Like, it was kind of like, oh my God, this is like what we wanted, like they knew what we wanted. And then just a couple questions I have gotten recently. One of them, this girl was asking me about my Tretinoin journey, and I didn't really have a journey with it. As you guys know, maybe you don't, I made there's a playlist on my main channel of my Accutane journey. So I went on Accutane around the beginning of 2019. I think I was only on it for 4 or 5 months. And basically, I had acne, as a teen, regular, just hormonal acne. It was never cystic or anything out of control. And then I remember once I moved to LA, I was seeing this esthetician. I was getting facials somewhat regularly, and that's when I really got on like a good skincare routine. And I had always done skincare before, but I didn't really know, the specific steps. I remember putting coconut oil on my face at one time, which, if that works for you, that's great. That was not what my acne-prone skin needed. So my skin cleared up a lot, but then this was also around the time where I was having a lot of gut issues with being vegan, and I ended up basically having insane cystic acne when I was 20. and it was just out of control. Like it was so cystic. I still have scars to this day. It was like on my jaw, some would be on my neck. It was painful. It was so embarrassing, and anything I would do just didn't seem to help. And I did a lot of research, finally went on Accutane. Like, I did a lot of research. This was not something I took lightly. I asked so many people, people who I knew in real life who had taken it. I was like reading so much about it, watching videos. So I had a really good experience on it. The only real side effect I had was my lips were extremely dry. Like, I needed to bring Aquaphor with me everywhere, and nothing would really work except for Aquaphor. But yeah, at the end of that, my skin, like, I did not even have a single blackhead on my nose. Like, it makes your skin so. I mean, everyone's different, and some people have really horrible side effects. Luckily, I didn't have to be on it for that long, and it really worked. So after that, the dermatologist I went to prescribed me Tretinoin just as preventative, care. And then it also does help with anti-aging, which is nice. And I never really had, like, I think this girl was kind of, the girl who asked me the question was kind of referring to, like, if there was a purge period, or, because some people will experience, like, their acne getting worse, or getting really dry and flaky. I did not have any of that, and I think it's partially due to doing Accutane. I do remember I got the Tretinoin gel, like, in middle school or high school. Like, I remember I first went to a dermatologist for acne back then, and they gave me the gel version, which was to be used more as a spot treatment. And then they also gave me the face wash. Like, if you guys know, this is like standard. And then antibiotics, which that's so dumb. I would never do that. Like, it's not it was not like bacterial, Like, no. And none of that worked. That, I think it was mostly the face wash, but that made my skin super dry, flaky, and irritated. And I would have to like go to school, and it was just the worst. But anyway, on the cream, and I started at is it 0.025 or 0.25 tretinoin? Now I'm on again, I don't know if it's 0.5 or 0.05, but it's like the next level up, so it's a little highly concentrated. I do it every other night around. Sometimes if there's like a over-the-counter one I want to do, I'll do the prescribed one like every 2 nights or something. Always wear SPF, always moisturize. In the winter, like especially since moving to New York where the winters do get a little colder, well, a lot colder than LA. I will do the sandwich method, which is moisturizer. It's like whatever products you used before, then it's moisturizer, tretinoin, moisturizer. And that really helped like a lot. But I don't need to do that when it's not super cold out. So that's just a little bit about my story. If you have any specific questions, let me know, I guess. But yeah, and also I would recommend getting it from Nurx, Nurx. You can also get birth control from them, not sponsored. But I remember, luckily I was on my dad's insurance at the time, but it was it just felt like such a waste to go into the dermatologist, have to like pay, like I think insurance covered it, but it was like, I don't know if it did, because it was like out of state. But anyway, they would have to like look at my skin every time to see like if I had a pimple so they could prescribe it. If you go on Nurx, I think it's like $40. And your insurance, I think, will cover it if you have insurance, like depending on your insurance. But they will give it to you every month, like a big bottle. Like, it is so much easier to get. So that's what I would recommend if you're in the US. I think they just, I think they just are in the US. I don't know. But you can also get birth control from them. But yeah, it was just so much easier and like legit. And they send you the big bottle. I just went to get more from my new like primary care physician in New York. And she was like she was sussed out that I wanted that. And she was like, "Well, are you planning to get pregnant?" And I was like, "What? This isn't Accutane. Like, what?" Because you have to like sign consent form. You have to like sign like all this stuff if you go on Accutane that you will not get pregnant, and you have to be on like 2 forms of birth control or say that you'll be abstinent. Anyway, I was like, I've never heard of that for tretinoin, and they're like, yeah, like the vitamin E is so dangerous, like you cannot get pregnant on this. She's like, well, I'll give it to you. But she was like so like acted like it was like narcotics. And then she prescribed me the small bottle. Like, I'm just gonna go to Nurse. They don't ask you I mean, they ask you like questions, but like they're like, yeah, take it here. Here's a full size bottle every month. Like it gets to be too much. You're like, I can't go through it that quickly. It depends like on your insurance and like I guess the doctor and everything, but yeah, that's what I would do. And then the last question was somebody on a podcast commented and asked, "What do you think of the trend of grown women saying I'm just a girl?" I don't participate in that. I don't really think, like, on an everyday basis, if I see that, I'm not thinking so deeply about it. But I guess if you really wanted to, like, get into it, it's kind of like, can y'all stop? Like, can y'all be a little more girl boss about it? And, just with current politics and, like, rise of conservative content and tradwife and, like, the government not wanting women to, like, work and, like, oh, you need to actually be having as much children as possible, like, barefoot and pregnant type vibes. It's kind of like, okay, it can be that deep. That's not something I say. Let's be girl bosses, okay? That like let's bring that back. But I'm not like triggered if I see that on a daily basis. So I'm not like if a girl around me says that, I'm not gonna be like, well, actually, you shouldn't say it. Like, I'm not annoying. It's like a trendy thing, whatever. But it's like if you are gonna look at it that deep, it is kind of like, how do y'all feel about it? Let me know. Like, I'm not. Sometimes it's like you can't get mad at everything. Like, that's all we're gonna talk about today, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on anything down below, and let me know what I should talk about next week. Share your summer glow up goals and habits that you're going to build on down below as well. And I will talk to you guys next Thursday. Bye, everyone.